name is Eve Gaya, CEO and founder Tunu Bakeries. I'm a wife, a mother, and a pharmaceutical technologist by profession, and a baker by passion. I did pharmacy for 4 years at Kenya Medical Training College. I'm a fully registered pharmaceutical technologist. I practice a bit, but currently I'm a baker full-time. I'd say my switch was very interesting because I was in between transitions from one job to the other, and this was in 2018 when I had just resigned from my previous employer and looking for a job. So in between, as I had time in my hand, I opted to take some few baking classes just to polish my baking skills in my kitchen. My main aim was to bake for my family. It was never my passion to bake for the community. The first time I started baking was when I had friends who came over, tasted my cake. There were visitors, and they all complimented my cake. And from there, my friends started ordering, and before I knew it, that's how Tunu kicked off. It was the push also came from one of my aunties who had just given birth, and she knew that I loved cooking, and she gave me a challenge to do for her lactation cookies. She was a breastfeeding mom, but low on milk. Like I mentioned earlier, I am a pharmaceutical technologist by profession, so I've also had the privilege and an opportunity to work in a hospital. In my career walk, I have encountered several women who had low milk and were struggling to breastfeed. And now this really hit home. When I did my aunt her lactation cookies, I felt like there's also a gap in the society. So that's how we also started doing our lactation cookies. The reason why I call it baking, baker by passion, is because the whole journey started as a passion. I love cooking. Those who know me well know that I love cooking. And baking was a class that I took just to polish my skills in the kitchen. Tunu is a Swahili word. Most people ask me the name Tunu. Why Tunu? What does Tunu mean? Tunu is actually a Swahili word to mean a gift. And the name was inspired by two aspects. Number one, my big daughter Paula, her middle name is Tunu. And secondly, I felt like cakes are more of gifts that you give people. So the name was appropriate at that particular space, and that's how the name Tunu came about. My passion in cooking was greatly influenced by my background. I was born and brought up in Mombasa. We lived in Miritini for some time before we moved to Nyali. We are a family of 6 kids. I'm the firstborn in our family. I have 4 more sisters and 1 brother. I went to Miritini World Bank Primary School, and then I moved to Nyangoma Girls in Bondo. I did my high school at Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan Secondary and Technical School before I went for my pharmacy studies at Kenya Medical Training College, main campus in Kenyatta. My journey as a baker has taken me to areas that I never imagined. I would say the most recent one is when we received a phone call from the organizing committee that we had been proposed and nominated to do Honorable Raila Odinga's 77th birthday cake. I would say this came as a shocker. I did not see it coming at all, but I am happy and glad that we got the privilege and an opportunity to do a birthday cake for Honorable Raila. The cake was inspired by several aspects. One, it was a birthday cake, and secondly, being a national leader, of course we had to incorporate a bit of patriotism in it. The birthday cake was not just a symbol of his birthday, but just to bring out the milestones that Kenya has gone through. The cake was also supposed to symbolize the administrations that Kenya has had, with the hope and aspiration that he's the one who is going to take over the next administration. The cake was a mix of different flavors. to bring out the different cultures that we have in the country, the different tribes that we have in the country. Kenya is a mix of so many tribes, so many cultures, so many races, and we did not want to discriminate. The cake had a mix of 6 flavors. We had red velvet, we had blueberry, we had mint, we had chocolate, we had pina colada, and we also had coconut. Preparations took us 4 days to do the cake, but baking and decoration took us 24 hours. As you know, at Tunu Bakeries, we have a culture of making sure that our cakes are as fresh as possible. So the first 3 days were preparations, gathering ingredients and everything. Then the last 24 hours was a marathon of preparation of the cake, baking and decoration. I would say our biggest challenge was being able to incorporate the administrative years and still make the cake look like a birthday cake. It was our first time ever doing a patriotic cake. We've done several wedding cakes, birthday cakes, anniversary cakes. The themes are a bit so driven, but this specific one, we had to bring out the patriotic side of that decoration. So I would say coming up with a design to make sure that it looks patriotic, but at the same time appealing to the eye, was our biggest challenge. I must admit that I was very happy and privileged to serve my leader at that capacity. It was an honor doing Honorable Raila's cake. I was compensated well, and I'm happy. I'm also glad that burning the midnight oil did not go to waste, and it was not in vain, because the response was overwhelmingly positive. We got several feedbacks and congratulatory messages of how happy the entire team was. Apart from Right Honorable Raila, we've also had a privilege to bake a cake for Churchill, for Jalango, the aspiring MP, Langata. We've also had a privilege to bake a cake for Carol Radul, Terence Creative, among others. Our top seller is Passion Pina Colada. We brand it as Alex Mwakideo's favorite flavor because that's his favorite flavor, and it's the flavor that sells the most in our catalog of cakes. It is sweet with a good balance of sugar, and people find it very yummy and moist. I would say the hardest cake I've ever baked in my life was a traditional themed cake, Maasai tradition. We were making it for an MCA, and it went all the way to Narok. I would say the challenging part was to bring out the Maasai themed culture in that cake. Passion drives me, but in as much as baking is a passion, we also need to understand that I'm doing it as an entrepreneur. So I would say some of the things that makes me feel like I'm about to give up is running the business. It becomes overwhelming. When I'm not baking, I love sitting at home, relaxing, just enjoying my personal space. If I want a baker, I'd say I'd be a marketer. I love marketing, creating new links, and connections. My biggest goal is to one day have Tunu Bakeries all over the country, have a chain store of Tunu Bakeries, have our branches all over the country. I'd say that is my end goal, that is my biggest goal right now. While I was growing up, the only cake house that we used to know was Fire's Bakery. I grew up in Mombasa, so we only knew Fire's Bakeries, and I'm inspired by what Fires does, and I'd say I look up to them and I admire their level of growth. I'd say one of the challenges that we face, especially me as a baker, is making my clients understand that sometimes whatever they wish for and making that wish a reality in terms of bringing out an image or bringing out a cake design may not be possible. For instance, a client would want a cake made in the shape of a horse with a child riding it, but they want to make it a 2 kg cake. Sometimes making a client understand that these things, we don't just bake, but you also have to bring out the artistic part, is one of the challenges that I face as a baker. If I was told to pick one cake flavor that I would do for the rest of my life, I would say that would be our carrot and cinnamon cake. It's my most favorite flavor. I love it, and I'd definitely go for carrot and cinnamon. We flagged our doors open in April 2018. It's been quite a journey. I'm impressed and satisfied by the growth. Tunu currently has employed 4 people. We do all types of cakes, that is birthday cakes, which range from 2,300 going up from 1 kg. We also do corporate cakes. Most of them range from 8,000, 10,000 going up. We do wedding cakes that range from 25,000 going up. So I would say that I'm happy and impressed by the fact that we have come, and we are ready to do more. And we are ready to serve each and every person of this country. Our main production unit is in Ruai, but we supply cakes countrywide. I would say other than Nairobi, our biggest market is in Kisumu, Busia, Kakamega, Kitale, Mombasa, and Malindi. Those are our biggest outside Nairobi market. And we also have a pickup point in Nairobi town at Imenti House.